up guys, EJ here, back with another video, and today it's going to be my top 10 films of 1982, continuing on my series of top 10 films from the 80s. So let's get started. Counting down as always, we start at number 10, and we have First Blood, the first Rambo film of course, directed by Ted Kotcheff, starring Sylvester Stallone as a Vietnam veteran who returns back to the States, and he's visiting a comrade's family in this northwestern town, and he gets hassled by the local sheriff, played by Brian Dennehy, and then all hell breaks loose when he breaks out of jail and heads up to the woods and has to defend himself from local and state police. Great movie. I love the action. My favorite of the Rambo films, probably my favorite film starring Sylvester Stallone. Of course, the first Rocky. I've never been a huge fan of the Rocky series as a whole, but yeah, Rambo is probably my favorite character that Stallone ever did. And First Blood is just an awesome action movie. Love the ending. Richard Crenna, great as his superior officer, who comes into town and tells Brian Dennehy, "You're gonna need more body bags." That kind of thing. Yeah, just one of the great action movies of the 80s. First Blood at number 10. Okay, up next at number 9, one of my favorite horror movies of the 80s, and that is Poltergeist, produced of course by Steven Spielberg and directed by Tobe Hooper. Great film about a family tormented by lots of spooky paranormal things. We find out that their house is actually on a old Indian burial ground. Great cast. Jo Beth Williams as the creepy blonde-haired girl who stares at the TV and says, "They're here." Craig T. Nelson, Beatrice Straight. I forget the actress who plays the little old woman who's kind of creepy looking and has a great voice. She was a great sort of character actress during that time. Yeah, Poltergeist is just a fantastic film. Sort of builds and builds. It starts out slow. I mean, it's sort of innocent at first, these things that are happening in the house, and then all hell breaks loose at the end of this film. Just great. One of the best films, horror films of the 80s, that's for sure. Poltergeist at number 9. Okay, up next at number 8, we have Sophie's Choice, directed by Alan J. Pakula, and of course starring Meryl Streep in one of her great roles, Kevin Kline and Peter MacNicol. Great film about, of course, a Polish immigrant after World War II who survived a Nazi concentration camp and comes over to America in 1947. Yeah, just a gripping film, fantastic performances, and Meryl Streep just stunning. If you want to see how good of an actress Meryl Streep really is, definitely worth checking out Sophie's Choice at number 8. Okay, up next at number 7, a great film from one of my favorite directors, and that is The Verdict, directed by Sidney Lumet, one of my favorite directors. Yeah, just love all his stuff, but this is one of the movies that doesn't really get talked about that much, and Paul Newman, great performance by him as a sort of lawyer who's sort of down on his luck, a bit of a drunk. Everybody figures he's going to take this settlement in this big case, and then he takes it to trial. Great supporting cast. You have Charlotte Rampling, Jack Warden, James Mason. Just a really good film, one of Paul Newman's best performances. If you haven't seen The Verdict, definitely worth checking out. Okay, up next at number 6. Yeah, number 6. We have Tutsi. Really funny film. Directed by Sidney Pollack. Of course, starring Dustin Hoffman as a very talented actor who has to go a very interesting route. Dresses up as a woman, of course. Very funny film. Fantastic supporting cast. Jessica Lange, Terry Garr, Bill Murray. Who else is in this? Dabney Coleman. Yeah, absolutely hilarious film about acting, television. Just a great movie. One of the funniest films ever, in fact. Tutsi, just a great movie at number 6. Okay, up next at number 5, a film that will make my mom happy, and that is An Officer and a Gentleman, directed by Taylor Hackford. Of course, starring Richard Gere, Deborah Winger, and Louis Gossett Jr., who won Best Supporting Actor for this film. Yeah, fantastic movie about a officer training school for Navy pilots. Richard Gere, sort of a playboy and a womanizer, falls in love with Deborah Winger, much to the chagrin of his drill instructor, played by Louis Gossett Jr. Fantastic movie about the military, very romantic. My mom's a huge Richard Gere fan, and she's a big fan of this movie. And Officer and the Gentleman at number 5. Okay, up next, one of my favorite high school teen comedies, definitely of the 80s, and that is Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Written, of course, by the great Cameron Crowe, and directed by Amy Heckerling. This is one of those films, like every decade, it seemed, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, there was a teen film that had this great young cast, and all these people in this cast turned out to be great stars. In the 70s, it was American Graffiti. In the 80s, it was this film, and of course, Dazed and Confused. In the 90s, yeah, just a great movie about a Southern California high school. Sean Penn, so memorable as Spicoli, the stoner, Judge Reinhold, Jennifer Jason Leigh trying to lose her virginity. Yeah, Forrest Whitaker as the all-star football player, and then of course you have Phoebe Cates, the fantasy scene of when Judge Reinhold is jacking off in the bathroom and he's fantasizing about Phoebe Cates jumping out of the swimming pool. Just so memorable. And of course they introduced a bunch of other guys who would become stars as well. Nicolas Cage, I believe he's credited as Nicholas Coppola in this film. Eric Stoltz, Anthony Edwards were also in this. Just a fantastic film. Absolutely love it. Very funny, great soundtrack. Fast Times at Ridgemont High at number 4. Okay, up next at number 3, the Best Picture winner of that year, and that is Gandhi, directed by Richard Attenborough. Fantastic performance by Ben Kingsley, of course, as Mohandas Gandhi, the Mahatma, of course, who preached nonviolence and peace, and sort of overcame prejudice and oppression in India. Yeah, great performance by Ben Kingsley. He deservedly won Best Actor for his portrayal. Great supporting cast: Candice Bergen, John Gielgud, Edward Fox. Just a fantastic film. Gandhi at number 3. Okay, up next at number 2, could easily be number 1 on many people's lists. I have it at number 2, and that is E.T. the Extraterrestrial, of course, directed by Steven Spielberg. Fantastic film. It's one I really do remember from my childhood. It's sort of movie when you see as a kid that really sort of sticks with you over the years, and every time you revisit it, it sort of comes back to you. Henry Thomas, great as this troubled child who finds this poor, decrepit-looking alien who's crashed on Earth and is just trying to find his way back home. The Dee Wallace, great as the mother. Peter Coyote as well. The fantastic score by John Williams, the flying scenes, everything about this movie just. And of course, you have the debut of Drew Barrymore as the sister. Just wonderful to see her at such a young age. Yeah, when this got re-released in theaters in 2002, I saw it, and it was the updated version with the. They changed the walkie-talkies to like machine guns or something. That was like a big deal or whatever. Absolutely loved it. Seeing it in the theater then, basically 20 years after it came out, probably 15, 16 years after I first saw it. Seeing it in the theater was like a real great experience. I mean, just a great movie with great emotion, great heart, great performances, just a great atmosphere. It's a wonderful film. It really is. Spielberg at the height of his powers. Just a beautiful movie. E.T. at number 2. And that, of course, leaves me with number 1. My favorite sci-fi film of the 80s has to be Blade Runner, directed, of course, by Ridley Scott. Fantastic vision of this dystopian future where replicants are running wild and Harrison Ford is the one charged with hunting them down. Um, yeah, Sean Young, Daryl Hannah, Rutger Hauer, great as well. Shame it has about 18 different versions of it now. This edition has at least 4, I think. Yeah, 4 disc collector's edition. Has the theatrical version, the international version, the director's cut, and then the final cut. So that's 4 in this one. But yeah, this is a fantastic film. Ridley Scott doesn't make enough movies like this anymore, I'm afraid. Still a great director, one of my favorites. Harrison Ford, awesome, of course. It was sort of a step away from his iconic roles as Han Solo and Indiana Jones at the time. Yeah, Blade Runner, just a fantastic film. One of my all-time favorite sci-fi movies. And my number 1 for my top 10 of 82. So that is my list. Tell me what you think of these films. Give me your lists or something like it. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching as always. And I'll be back next week with my top 10 films of 1983. So thank you for watching. And until next time, I'll see ya.
Bond. James Bond.